You're watching Victory Life Today with Al and Angie Buhrke.
Welcome to Victory Life Today. I'm Al Buhrke.
And I'm Angie Buhrke. Thanks so much for joining us today. We've got a great program lined up for you. This is going to be something that you probably haven't heard of, or maybe heard of just very little. Right, Al? This is a revelation that the Lord has been giving Al over the past several months. And I have to say something about him. He takes his time and he allows the Lord to show him things before he goes and he teaches it and is sure of himself. And some of the things you just, you're pretty
Some
sure.
of these things I've worked on them for 2 years before I teach on them.
Yeah.
And I get it down right. So I have it correct, consistent with grace. And making sure it's right. Because sometimes some people will teach something and it's like right, but they're in the law right away. And so we have to get it into grace.
And what you do is you actually live it out before you teach it, because you've got to have this tangible, I don't want to say proof, but it has to work.
Well, what I do is I take and I'll study the scriptures and see what they're saying to me. And then I will take that information and go out and live it for anywhere from months to years. Live this.
That's awesome.
Then I come back and I start praying, Lord, am I living this right? Am I understanding this right? Because part of this teaching is a part of this that I started on 2 years ago.
Yes, I remember
it. And now I'm finally teaching on it. And I do that because when you know what you're teaching, and this is what they said about Jesus, they said, he speaks as one with authority. So when I teach this, I teach it with authority because I know this. I don't just take something somebody else did, pull it over here and read it to you.
Right.
It wouldn't mean that it's wrong. I've been in churches where the preacher was preaching correct biblical information, but it was awful. And it was awful because he didn't believe it. He had no personal revelation. There was no authority with it.
Yes, and you can sense that authority. And people have told me so many times about you, there's, that authority in you makes them want to listen to you, like this man. And that's the anointing power behind it too, the fact that you actually did it right and tested it. And
so this is a time-tested thing. 2 years, it started 2 years ago.
God. What do
go
you
ahead
have?
And start out with the beginning.
Well, what are we talking about? The throne of
grace? We're going to come boldly to the throne. We're going to talk about God and the throne, and God is a judge. So go ahead.
Okay. What do you want me to read, Al?
Hebrews 4:16. Do you have
4:16, King James, yes. Let us therefore come boldly unto the throne of grace, that we may obtain mercy and find grace to help in time of need.
Okay.
Awesome.
When I read that, I picture God as sitting as a judge. Have you ever been in a courtroom, say in a big city, and the judge is high and lifted up? And they got the bench, they call it the bench. He sits up there high, and it's designed to intimidate you. It's what it's designed to do.
Oh, wow. It does.
And it works.
It does.
But I picture God, when it says, come boldly to the throne, I picture him as sitting up high like a judge. You don't come bold. You don't approach the bench in a courtroom today if you're not summoned.
Right. That's true.
Did you ever see the judge? He says, okay, counselors, come here and we're going to talk about something. You don't just walk up there and go, hey, now you could from where you're sitting, you could say, Judge, I have something I want. But you don't walk up. So when I see this, come boldly to the throne, you're coming boldly before a judge. You're just walking right in. And the cool thing about this here is that the judge is your dad. How are you going to lose this case when the judge is your father? But this here, when you read that, come boldly to the throne of grace that we find help, that word help in the Greek is a military term. It's not like, hey, help me move this table. It means, hey, we're getting shot at, we're going to die, we need help.
Oh, wow.
Do you see what I mean? It's a serious thing. So we come boldly before the court to find help. We got a serious problem and we need help from the court.
Oh, that's so good, Al. So good. Because a lot of times, Al, with the message that we minister and a lot of others is, we have this authority in Christ and we should and absolutely do need to use this authority. But, a lot of Christians, and I've heard this from a lot of people, they feel that because we have this authority, like we really can't ask God for anything. He's not doing much up there because it's all on us now. And people have gotten very tired and very weary of that thinking. And by all means, I'm an authority person and I use my authority on anything that tries to come against me, stealing my healing or my peace or whatever. I use my authority against that. But we can also go to God and ask him for help. This is what this means. I need your help. I'm being attacked. This is not going away. I need your help. So it's twofold. It's not just the authority. We can ask God for help. And that's so
I have a
encouraging.
tendency, although it doesn't have to be this way, you take authority over your health. You have authority over your physical body. Mm-hmm. But sometimes you're being attacked by Satan, then you need help from God. You need God to dispatch angels to stop what he's doing. So and then sometimes it's even in the body when you need help from God. So you've got to use the Holy Spirit to sort of discern how to do this. Mm-hmm. So the judge sits up on a throne and decides cases. Now, in the Bible, 76 times in the Bible, it uses the term as God as judge. 76 times. So God is a judge and he judges over the earth. There's a courtroom in heaven where cases are decided. And we need to learn how to bring our case before the court. Now, let me read this to you in Psalms 50.
Could I say something
Sure.
first, Al? It has nothing to do with what's already been done.
I'm going to get into all of that.
Okay, good.
I'm going to get into
that's
already, the court cases are already decided.
Okay.
I'll say it that way. Jesus already went to the cross.
Right. Okay.
It says here in Psalms 50 and 6, and the heavens shall declare his righteousness, for God is judge himself. And that's just one of, I could go on and on and on, how the Bible, and in the New Testament, the Bible declares God as a judge. Well, what are you going to judge? A judge needs a case and a courtroom. This is how this works. And I want to get into this because this has been taught before, but it's been taught sort of incorrectly. It's been taught from this perspective of the devil has a legal right against you. The devil never has a legal right against you. He will do something, he'll use something against you, but he never has a legal right to, because when Jesus died on the cross and said it was finished, all your prosperity was done at the cross. All your healing, all your joy, all your peace, all your family relationships, all your destroying the devil's work was all purchased. But we have to learn how to walk in what we already have. It's not, some people teach this sort of coming before the courts of heaven, where Satan's bringing you in a courtroom and he's fighting you and he's strong, but God is fighting and God's just a little bit stronger than the devil and he knocks him out. That's not the way it is. The devil is already defeated. In fact, the devil never even shows up in the courtroom. Let me put it this way. If somebody's in your house stealing your furniture, he never has a legal right to do it. But if you don't call the cops, he's going to do it and walk away. Do you see what I mean?
Yes.
So we're not talking about someone that has a legal right. And I'll tell you something else. If you want to get your furniture back, the devil's not going to take you to court to keep it.
Oh, there you go. That's
You've got to take that guy to court and say, I want you to bring my stuff back.
Right.
Now,
That's good.
So you have to understand that I preached this in a church very recently, so this is all hot on my mind. These are my notes. So God is your father, he is your judge, and he's your friend. And Jesus is my attorney. How am I going to lose this case? You walk into the courtroom, and I picture myself sometimes as walking into a courtroom, and I look up, and there's God, my Father, the judge in this case, and there's Jesus over there saying, hey, I got this covered. I'm like, oh, this is awesome. I'll give you an example. Many years ago when I was young, I was like 18 or 17, I don't know, and I was driving, and I got pulled over, and I got this ticket. And it was in a little town, an incorporated village. It was actually Westbury, Long Island, New York. So I got pulled over and I got this ticket and I went to court and I just said, well, yeah, I did it. And they went, okay, guilty. What they didn't tell me was that I was going to lose my license over this. And then I got this letter in the mail to your license has been revoked.
Oh, wow.
I was a kid. I didn't know. I just went in there, And so I went to my mom, Mom, I got no driver's license. And she said, well, where did this happen? I said, what happened in Westbury? She said, she lived in Westbury as a kid. She said, I used to work for an attorney in Westbury. She said, I'm going to call him. So see if he's still in practice. And she called him and he goes, yeah. He says, I'm retired out, but I take a few cases. I was a judge for years in Westbury, but I've retired out and I do some private practice now. So, okay. So I go there and I meet with the guy. Now, remember, he was a judge in this town many years. He's retired out. He's in private practice. We walk up before the bench, and my attorney looked up at him, and he said, hi, Judge. And the judge looked down at him and said, hi, Judge. And I said, oh, I just won this case. And I did. It was instant. They just said, what'd you do? Oh, you're good. Get out of here. Next case. I instantly won this. And it's the same kind of thing. When you bring anything before the courts of heaven, you bring it before God the Father, you've already won. Satan has already been defeated. What you're getting the court to do is enforce a case you already won. And the courts will do that.
Wow, that's really good.
So do you have Luke 18?
Well, what about you were talking about, people who divorce and don't pay their child support or something? That's a perfect example.
Yeah, it is. I got some other good examples. Let me explain this to you. It's not like you're taking the devil to court to make him give you something or to do something or to usually stop doing something. He's already been defeated. If you have a divorce case and the court decides the former husband has to pay whatever, $200 a month in child support. And that's it. The case is done. If he doesn't make his child support payments, you don't have to take him to court to win a judgment against him. It's already against him. You just go to the court and say, this guy isn't making his payments. This is already decided. The court will send somebody out and have him arrested and put him in jail.
Wow, that's
in
good.
fact, in some states, when you make a child support payment, you have to pay it to the court so that the court knows you paid it. And they did that because sometimes they would pay it in cash and then the woman would say, you never paid me.
Right.
But anyway, the point being is it's an already decided case that you are making the court enforce.
Wow.
And I want to make that distinction because other people have taught about the courts of heaven and they've always got all this legality going on. And it is a legal thing. But you have to understand it's a legal case. You already won.
But it's really what Al is trying to say is it's the position that you walk into court. You're not trying to get something you've already been given. Whatever it is you're not seeing in your life, but Jesus accomplished it at the cross. So when you go in, it's the position that you're going in. You're going in with a position of victory. You already won, and now the devil is trying to just take it away from you or try to just harass you, and you want it stopped. So you're going to ask for help. I think that's cool.
Did I give you Luke 18?
Yes, I'll read it.
Oh, I did? Okay, go ahead and read it.
And he spake a parable unto them to this end, that men ought always to pray and not to faint. And I know that just means don't get tired of praying.
Right.
Saying, there was in a city a judge, which feared not God, neither regarded man. And there was a widow in that city, and she came to him, saying, avenge me of mine adversary. And he would not for a while, but afterward he said within himself, though I fear not God, nor regard man, yet because this widow troubleth me, I will avenge her, lest by her continual coming she weary me. And the Lord said, hear what the unjust judge saith. And shall not God avenge his own elect, which cry day and night unto him, though he bear long with them? I tell you that he, God, will avenge them speedily. Nevertheless, when the Son of Man cometh, shall he find faith on the earth?
Doesn't the judge avenge something, or he sets up a case? What's going on here is what Jesus is trying to set up here, more than getting into all of the the mechanics of this scripture, and we can. He's trying to give you a mental picture of a court case. And he's saying, you bring your cases before the world courts, the unjust judge. Most judges, I'm not going to say most, but many times, they don't care if you get justice or not. They just got to do so many cases. They decide, and win or lose, whatever, I get my paycheck and we'll do this tomorrow. So I'm not saying they're bad or unjust. I'm just saying they don't really care if you get justice. They want you to, but they just want to get rid of the case. And this is what he's saying. And he's saying, you bring your case. Don't bring your case before the world's court. Bring it to my court. Bring it to me. And I will avenge you speedily.
That's right.
The Bible says better is one day in your courts than 1,000 elsewhere. And what that means is better is one day in the court of heaven than 1,000 days in the court of the world. And what do? We go right to the court.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Wow. And we have to...
Well, it's really the throne of grace, and grace is just whatever you need.
I've always said, people say, well, what is grace? And they've got all these fancy definitions. And grace is whatever you need. Right. Just come before the Father, the throne of grace. Yeah. Then he says, does anybody have faith? Right. If you actually had faith, watch how good this works. But our Father cares. So how do we do this? How do we bring something? I visualize this in my mind. And this is the way you say it. And I'm going to do this, and we're gonna make a DVD series. I've had so many people say, "Oh, write a book." I said, she's gonna write the book. So this is the way you do this. This is the way you say it. My Father, my Judge, and my God, I come before the court of heaven, and I want you to stop hell's assignment against me. Now, the devil will use anything in your lineage from before against you to take you down. And he'll use it, and he's effective with it, but he doesn't have any right to use it, even though there may be evil in your background. I don't know what, my father was born in Germany, and who knows what those Nazis did? They were in witchcraft like crazy. So who knows what's in my lineage? And I'll get into some more of this. And then you say this, any witchcraft in my lineage, any demonic worship, I want you to cancel it. Any evil word ever spoken over me by a parent, a grandparent, a teacher, a priest, a pastor, where they spoke evil over me and cursed me, I want you, Father, God, and Judge, to cancel it and remove Satan's assignment against me. And you watch how good this works. This is people have authority over you. Only people, and I'll tell you something else. You can't do this for someone else unless you have authority over them.
And they're in agreement, yeah.
So these cases are basically already decided, and you just have to get the court, which is what I just said, to execute what's already been decided. Now,
so you're just asking God for help, because really at that point, when you know something, you have already been praying, you have already been rebuking, you have already been casting your care, you've been doing all of this and nothing's working, and now we do that. But Al, how often do people have to do what you just said?
Well, you would only do that once.
Right.
You don't go back to court for the same thing. New things can come up, and I can talk about that because it happened in my life. But the old things that you've canceled are canceled forever. And let me just say it this way so you understand this. You're enlisting God's help with a problem instead of just or only taking authority. It's okay to take authority. It's okay to speak to it. It's okay to command it. But when you're not getting anywhere, you might want to come boldly to the throne of grace to get help. Sometimes you need help.
Oh, that's such a good message.
It's kind of like this. Your neighbor is coming over and he's constantly giving you a hard time. He's constantly doing something. And you're always trying to resist him, and you're using authority and rebuking him, and you're commanding him to get off your property, but it isn't really working. So you take him to court and you get a restraining order on him. Now, when he comes on your property, you just call the cops.
Oh, that's good.
You have to understand this is already decided case. I don't have to bring,
that's very good.
In other words, I win. This is already decided. The case is done. You've got a restraining order. You come on, and you know what? What if your neighbor doesn't care whether you have a restraining order or not? He doesn't care. He's coming on your property. I don't have to rebuke him anymore. I just got to call the cops. When you bring this to the court of heaven and a case is decided, God dispatches the angels on your behalf to take Satan off your assignment. Now, I just got to say this. This is definitely going to be a two-part, maybe more. Not everything is a court of heaven case. So you need the Holy Spirit's I had a friend of mine and he's, I can't walk. My knee is shot. My knee is shot. He said, I'm taking it to this court of heaven. I said, listen, you don't need to take this to the court of heaven. You need to lose 150 pounds and you'll see how good your knee works. So you've got to understand, these are usually when something in a spirit realm is stopping you, it's usually not physical, or can be. Because you said you had one where you felt something was like drilling. And you just said, I'm taking this court of heaven, and it backed right out. Remember that story you were telling?
Well, I felt at that very moment that it was just being sucked right out of me. And literally sucked right out of me, never came back again. And but yes, you're right. Well, sometimes, but Al is right about being spirit led, because that was just a physical thing. And I know I'm healed. I know by the stripes of Jesus I'm healed. And I did all that, took authority, nothing worked. After a few days, I said, wait a minute, this has been on and off again over the last couple of years. And I said, I'm taking this to the court. That was a spirit-led thing. Believe me, I'm not in court 24/7. Okay, that's not my life. But I felt that when that thought comes into your mind, that's the Lord showing you, bring it to me. And that's what I did. And I literally felt it get sucked out of me at that moment.
And there you go. You were taking your authority, which is the right thing to do, but you weren't getting anywhere with it. For some reason, the devil was making this stick. And when you brought it to the court of heaven, he was gone.
That's right.
Instantly. What does God do? It's just like that judge sitting
He avenged me speedily.
He avenged you speedily.
That's right.
Angels, go over there and get rid of him. Just like that.
A lot of times when this happens, Al, there's a demonic oppression on people, and they don't even know it. And when they go to the court and ask it to be lifted, they can now think clearly to hear.
Yes.
And then God might tell them some instructions like even if that person who went to the court and he had
gives a word of knowledge.
Right. And then, okay, lose weight and your knee won't hurt so bad. But sometimes God is so merciful, he'll put up with that and he'll say, look, just, okay, I want to give you a word of knowledge because you're here.
I would give this story in the next teaching, but in my own life, there was always this like depression, and it was always right here, and it was waiting to come on me, but I was just so powerful in my mind and so headstrong, I kept it off. And when I brought that, and it never came on me because I wouldn't let it come on me, that's taking my authority and forcing it off of me, but it was always there.
You know what I do when that happens? Okay, that has happened to me.
Well, let me just say, I know. I took it to the court of heaven. I said, I want this demon of depression off. And it lifted immediately. And I never felt it again. And you were telling me once.
I've had that a few times where I feel this big old monster coming toward me. And
it's like a thing outside of you coming on you called depression. It's a demon of depression.
Yes.
And a demon of depression is depressed. That's what they are.
Yes, that's right. You know what I do? I go to the mall. And I get it off my mind.
You can go to the court or you can go to the mall.
It works like $1 million.
You know what? You know what I do?
After
I buy another car.
Yeah, see?
Not everything's a court issue. Sometimes you just got to go to the mall and buy a car. So I'm only kidding. I always have to say that.
Al, why don't we talk a little bit in closing? If anyone wants to come on board with us and just partner with us and take part in this ministries, they're getting so much information. And, if people like it, it would help us to reach even more people, Yeah,
we really want to take this internet show and put it on regular television, and we're going to need a whole lot more money to do that. But you know what? I'm just waiting on God to do that. But when you sow into our ministry, you put money toward us, you're getting part of the reward we get. And I want to tell you something else that I've learned. When you're sowing into a man's ministry or our ministry, you get a portion of the wisdom they have comes on you simply because you did it.
There was a minister on TV, and every time we watched this person, they're asking for money constantly. And Al always says to me, if this person would just say, look, I don't care where you give, just give because it's good for you, then
I'd
we
send
would.
them money.
But it's all about meet my needs.
The whole
meet my
show,
needs.
25 minutes of asking for money.
We know everybody has needs. Yeah. We know that. But if you want to prosper, then partner with us or any ministry, like I say, but we would love you to come alongside of us and partner with us and help us to do what we're doing, because this costs money. We're not crying the blues, but we know that God pays what he ordains, and he used partners to do it. And so we would love it.
God uses people.
Absolutely. So we would really appreciate if you would consider partnering with us and becoming part of Victory Life Ministries.
We don't spend 26 minutes asking for money, ever.
No, not at all.
We need money, but I've watched shows where the whole show, they're asking for something, or they're trying to sell something. It's just not the way we do it. We're here to teach you, to impart wisdom, to help you.
Right. So we encourage you to go to victorylifeministries.org. You could become a recurring partner, or you can just give a one-time donation. We would appreciate whatever God puts on your heart. Thanks for joining us today, and remember, victory is yours through Jesus Christ.
If this ministry has helped you, we would like to give you an opportunity to help us. The other day I was watching my own show and it was helping me, and I was like, whoa, this is awesome stuff. This is good. And it just was time just right that I needed that information. And I felt like donating to my own ministry. So you can donate to us and help us stay on the air. It takes about $30,000 a year to keep us on the air. And I use all my own money for this, except for what's donated to us. And I take no money for myself personally. Everything that goes into this ministry goes into the ministry. But giving is for you. Giving will help you. It'll prosper you. Jesus said, give and it'll be given unto you. So I'm more concerned about your giving prospering you than prospering me, because we're going to keep going. We're here before the Lord, and we're going to do the thing that God has called us to do with our lives. So if you would, go to victorylifeministries.org. And there's a mailing address on there that you can mail a check, or you can hit the donate button, and you can be a blessing to our ministry. And we thank you for helping us.
Al and Angie Buhrke are the founders of Victory Life Ministries, an organization that is designed to help you live your best life, so that you would be inspired and know that God will fulfill all of your needs according to his purpose. Live a life set ablaze by faith, filled with purpose. Live life above your circumstance.